This is the brief on Newsfirst Digital.
A very good evening and welcome to the brief at 7 on Newsfirst Digital. I'm Ramesh, Irugalbandara.
And I'm Serala, Fonseka.
First of all, we need to apologize for the delay in transmission of the brief at 7 due to a small technical difficulty we faced, but nevertheless, here are the stories that made headlines tonight.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry has instructed detectives to inquire whether the BOI was under any influence not to take action on Mihin Lanka Private Limited for not complying with terms of agreement.
The investment director of the Board of Investment testified, even though Mihin Lanka was informed continuously about the breach of terms on tax concessions, until Mihin Lanka ceased operations, they had never responded back to the BOI. The Commission was concerned why the Operations Department and the Supervisory Department at the BOI had not taken action regarding the failure of Mihin Lanka Private Limited. It also came to light the BOI had given Mihin Lanka tax concessions to the total of 385.314 million rupees from 2012 to 2018. These include import duty, nation building tax, VAT, production tax, CESS and port and airport tax. Mihin Lanka Private Limited had imported 40 million rupees worth of goods under the premise of using them after importing and returning back to the supplier. These goods were imported with tax concessions. Moreover, Sri Lankan Airlines enjoyed 254 billion rupees as tax concessions from the BOI from 2012 to 2015 and another 307 billion rupees as tax concessions from 2015 to 2018 to import goods and material to the country. Sri Lankan Catering Limited was given a total of 5 billion rupees as tax concessions from 2012 to 2018.
Police have identified the suspect who shot chief incumbent of the Kataragama Kirivehera Raja Mahaviharya, Venerable Kobavaga Dhamminda Thera, and another Thera last night.
Chief incumbent of the Kataragama Kirivehera Raja Mahaviharya, Venerable Kobavaga Dhamminda Thero, and another Thero sustained injuries following the shooting carried out last night. A high-ranking police officer in the area said the shooting had occurred over a dispute based on the ownership of the Kataragama Mahasen Devalaya. The ownership of the Mahasen Devalaya had been transferred to Chief Incumbent Venerable Dhamminda Thero following a court order issued last year. Police said information had come to light that the shooting was instigated by the caretaker of the Mahasen Devalaya, who was angered by the transfer of ownership, adding that 3 suspects who carried out the shooting had arrived in the SUV owned by him. Police noted this was further confirmed by the police officers who were part of Venerable Dhamminda Thero's security detail. According to reports, the officers who were on duty had noted down the number plate of the SUV and the vehicle has been taken into police custody. Several police teams are conducting operations to arrest the suspects who fled the scene. Police media spokesperson SP Ruan Gunasekara said the shooting was carried out around 10:50 last night. The Theros had been shot while they were returning from the Kirivehera Viharya and they were transferred to the Hambantara General Hospital for further treatment after being admitted to the Debaraveva Hospital. Director of the Hambantara General Hospital, Dr. Danushka Pereira, said a surgery was performed on Chief Incumbent Venerable Kobavaga Dhamminda Thero last night. Dr. Pereira said 5 shots had been fired at the abdominal area of Venerable Dhamminda Thero.
Now, the first permanent High Court or trial at bar which will try large-scale financial offences such as money laundering and bribery will commence operations on the 4th of July. Now, this is according to Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne. Responding to a question raised during the Cabinet media briefing held today, Rajitha Senaratne mentioned that 2 more courts of this nature will be in operation by the beginning of September. These new courts are to be established under the Judicature Amendment Act passed by Parliament earlier this year with the hope of cracking down and expediting large-scale financial fraud cases. On to other local news. Staying in news from the Cabinet media briefing, Cabinet spokesperson Dr. Serala revealed today that Sri Lanka would be receiving the final tranche in the Hambantota Port's concession agreement in a few days' time. He expressed these views while answering questions on the Mattala Airport and the Hambantota Harbour during today's Cabinet media briefing.
You now have Mattala Port with no airline operating any flights to that destination.
It
so
has
what's
to
the
be, who will come there? For
no,
what
but,
purpose?
But what does the government plan to do with the airport?
No, that's why that we have a proposal from India for a joint venture with India to operate it. So, and also the Chinese and the Indian both proposals for a free trade zones. So there are certain things to be sorted out and start this immediately. Actually, Mattala, Hambantota and the free trade zone all have to be operated together. Then only all the three will be viable.
Have you finalized the Mattala airport thing, or
No,
still?
Not yet.
So
when we go to India, always there is a complaint. Even the Indian, our ambassador says that she is in a very difficult position there because we are not settled these things.
So what is preventing about Mattala?
Politics, resistance. If you give Mattala to Indians to develop, they will say we have sold out Mattala. And nobody from this country who can afford to run the Mattala also.
So are you
somebody saying, so you pay your loans. Hambantota, we are paying 9,200 million a year. By 2020, we have to pay 15,200 million a year. But once we negotiate to run the port with another party, then they say sell out. We are our people, our politicians think sometimes we are as a very developed country that we can do everything on our own.
On to more news from the Cabinet media briefing, but before that, stay tuned and watch primetime news at 9 o'clock on TV1 for a comprehensive report on what's happening with the Hambantota Port's concession agreement. Meanwhile, the Daily Mirror reported today that outgoing US ambassador to Sri Lanka, Atul Keshap, had allegedly made a comment on Gotabaya Rajapaksa's presidential aspirations. The report notes that the ambassador allegedly informed former President Mahinda Rajapaksa that, and I'm quoting here, the US and other Western nations do not welcome the prospects of Gotabaya Rajapaksa contesting the polls and becoming president and are opposed to such a move, end quote. Cabinet spokesperson Dr. Serala was questioned about these comments and media reports during the media briefing today.
එතකොට මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාලා ඒක එහෙම දෙයක් කතා බහක් උනේ නැහැ කියලා ඩිනයි කරලා තියෙනවලු. ඔය කියන්නත් ඇත්තේ මෙහෙ පැත්තෙන්නේ. නැතුව අතුල් කේසප් කියන්නේ නැහනේ. ඔව්.
දැන් එහෙම එකක් සිද්ධ වුණොත් ඔබතුමාලා ඔබතුමන් හරි සහ රජයේ මොකද්ද රියැක්ෂන් එක මොකද්ද මේ
මොනවා රියැක්ෂන් එක? එයා ඇමරිකානු පුරවැසියෙක්. ඉතින් එයා ඇමරිකානු නීතියට තමයි යටත් වෙන්නේ. අපේ නීතියට නෙවෙයිනේ. ඉතින් මේක මේ අතුල් කේසප් කියන්නේ අපේ තානාපති නෙවෙයිනේ. එතුමාගේ තානාපති. අපේ රටටපත් කරමු.
Meanwhile, the media unit of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa has also issued a media release confirming that a meeting did take place between former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and US Ambassador Atul Keshap on Sunday. However, it notes that the media unit does not take responsibility for media reports which have misconstrued the reports or the contents of this cordial meeting between the former president and the US ambassador.
The Rajagiriya flyover was heralded by the administration as an answer to the traffic situation in the suburb of Colombo. However, since the construction, there have been concerns raised regarding the quality of the flyover.
Construction on the flyover began in 2016 and 4,600 million rupees was spent on the project. Due to concerns raised by the public, a special team was appointed to probe the performance of the flyover. The group tested the flyover with an 80-ton lorry and spoke to the media regarding their findings as well as concerns with columns of the flyover.
The flyover doesn't really reduce the congestion. That is true. Now as a result, now we are going to improve the, now we have already improved the Budgamu road, and now we are going to improve the Lake Drive road. Then those who are going to Nara Hempita without going through the Kanatta junction, so they can take the Lake Drive and then come down to the Kirimandala Mawat and they can proceed to Nara Hempita.
So this flyover is 4-lane flyover and plus 4-lane service road other side. That means altogether 8 lanes are there. But our existing road is 6 lane. It's not a bottleneck. Permanent solution to be widen the existing road. But if you consider it financial wise, it will not viable to widen whole road section for a short period. Purpose of short period. That means peak time is only 1 hour. So if we are going to have a wider road network for the whole section for only 1 hour, it is not it's not feasible.
We cannot create any bridge with zero vibrations. The people were uneasy about it, so we decided to convene a scientific group to probe the issue. We looked at how the 150mm deviation in a column also affects the flyover. We have submitted a report which states that there isn't a bid impact caused by this deviation. We have suggested that 2 steel plates be welded onto the column to rectify this.
To news overseas now, a Spanish court has given the Spanish king's brother-in-law 5 days to turn himself in after a Supreme Court ruled that he must serve a 5-year and 10-month sentence for charges including tax fraud and embezzlement. Inaki Udanagin and his former business partner Diego Torres arrived at the court in Palma de Mallorca on Wednesday to be notified of their prison sentence after Spain's Supreme Court yesterday cut a more than 6-year jail sentence for the king's brother-in-law to 5 years and 10 months for charges of tax fraud, embezzlement after an appeal. The king's brother-in-law was found guilty and sentenced to 6 years and 3 months in February last year for using royal connections to overcharge regional governments through public contracts to state sports and tourist events and with tax fraud. Urdanagrin lives with Princess Christina and their 4 children in Switzerland, and under Spanish law he could appeal the sentence in the Constitutional Court. The original ruling by a provincial Mallorcan court came after a 6-year investigation amid a slew of corruption cases against politicians and public figures. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo arrived in South Korea today, a day after the historic summit between President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. President Donald Trump promised during this summit that the United States would not hold war games with South Korea, while North Korea negotiated in good faith on denuclearization. Pompeo is scheduled to meet South Korean President Moon Jae-in on Thursday and then hold a trilateral meeting between Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa and Japanese Foreign Minister Taro Kono. There was some confusion over precisely what military cooperation with South Korea Trump had promised to halt. The US-South Korean exercise calendar hits a high point every year with the Fall Eagle and Max Thunder military drills, which both wrapped up last month. Another major exercise is due to be held in August this year. The United States maintains about 28,500 soldiers in South Korea, which remains in a technical state of war with North after the 1950-53 Korean War ended in a truce and not a peace treaty. And that's wrap of the brief at 7. For Newsfirst Digital, I'm Ramesh Irugalbandara.
And I'm Serala Fonseka. Good night.